does the all-new 1983 Mercury Marquis compare with competitive makes? To find the answer, we asked 8 Lincoln Mercury salespeople from various areas of the country to put the cars through their paces at the Road Atlanta racetrack near Atlanta, Georgia. It was Marquis pitted against Pontiac Bonneville. Marquis Brougham taking on Olds Cutlass Supreme and Chrysler E-Class. And the Marquis station wagon against the Cutlass Cruiser. Following a full day at the track, the salespeople then held a panel discussion to compare notes. What you are about to hear are their evaluations.
I'm Bob Holinsky. I'm an automotive writer from Detroit, and I'll be moderating this panel. Now let's introduce some of our panelists. Tom?
I am Tom Kibble from Straub Lincoln Mercury in Keyport, New Jersey.
I'm Vicki Smiley from Frank Jackson Lincoln Mercury in Atlanta.
And I'm Tony Wiggins from Spalding Lincoln Mercury, Ripon, Georgia.
And I'm John Damjanovich from North Park Lincoln Mercury, San Antonio, Texas.
I'm Pete Young from Central Lincoln Mercury in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
I'm Ron Slayton from Southern Lincoln Mercury in Decatur, Georgia.
Mark Russ, Holiday Lincoln Mercury, Fort Worth, Texas.
Jose Nieves, Don Jackson, Spartan Lincoln Mercury, Hapeville, Georgia.
Today what we're going to do is discuss our findings. And let's begin by posing a question about this whole idea of competitive comparisons, how valuable they are.
Well, I learned something the last 2 days, and that as a salesman, you tend to forget that there are Oldsmobiles, Chryslers, and whatever else out there. And I've learned that there are other cars out there. And let me tell you something, they all have their good points. I don't think you can really sit down and tear those cars apart and do it legitimately. The neat thing about it is the car that we're selling has got a lot more neater points to it than the competition has to offer.
John?
It's a eye-opening experience for me because, as Pete said, we're looking at a number of automobiles that are all good, and in that situation, we have to be as competitive with our product as the other companies.
You can't take the competition lightly because a customer that's comparative shopping is not taking it lightly. They want to know the difference, and I think we've really got to sell the Marquis over these other cars.
So what we're saying, I guess, is that there is a lot of validity to the idea of competitive comparison.
My opinion is that Marquis is very different. It's technologically up to date. It's so aerodynamic, and the Bonneville, a totally different car.
An older type of car, you mean?
Older type as far as the luxury, traditional luxury car.
Let me go to the Cutlass. Let's go to Ron for that. What did you like best about the Cutlass? Because it's got a pretty strong reputation. They sell a lot of Cutlasses.
Yes, I agree.
Or Cutlass.
They do. They do. I think one of the things there, Lincoln Mercury seems to be going more into the aerodynamic styling, and I like that kind of styling, whereas I felt we were still kind of in a box type of vehicle.
With the Cutlass.
Right.
The styling in that Cutlass, to walk up to the car, to walk up to the Marquis, you look at it and you say, gee, this is a nice aerodynamic automobile. Who makes it? As it stands with the Cutlass, it has instant recognition because there have been very few major design changes in that automobile.
Okay, Mark, what do you think was the best feature of the Chrysler E-car?
I thought the styling was probably their strongest point. I thought it was a very good-looking automobile from all angles.
How do you sell against a really good-looking automobile?
Open the door and slam it once.
All right, let me ask you, what is the strongest point for the Marquis?
It's ride. I think in order to sell that car, you have to demonstrate it. You have to drive it.
Not only the ride, the handling characteristics of that car in the turns. The way it would corner relatively flat, and with the rack-and-pinion power-assisted steering, it seemed to be so much more precise than any of the rest of the cars. And to combine the smooth ride along with the good handling is very difficult to do.
I think the Marquis is going to be the car of the future that the others will follow in line with, because it gives you roominess with comfort and the gas mileage that you expect out of a car that size. And I think that it's it's going to be a big seller for Lincoln Mercury if we can promote it.
Because Marquis is an all-new automobile with many feature advantages, the sales panel felt that it was particularly important to compare it with the competition. They felt that buyers tend to shop different makes more now than ever before, and many are stepping up from small cars to mid-size. While Bonneville and Cutlass Supreme are older designs, they have nameplate recognition. The aerodynamic design and innovative features of Marquis must be sold for what they are, new. Only Chrysler E-Class among the competitors is a new entry. The sales panel felt that the strongest Marquis advantage against all these competitors is its ride. After driving the Marquis, Bonneville, Cutlass Supreme, and Chrysler E-Class on the Road Atlanta track, a group of Lincoln Mercury salespeople compare their reactions to the cars.
Since ride and handling seems to be such a big factor here, let's get into that because that was part of our evaluation. You rated each car in a number of categories on a scale of 1 to 10. And I'd like to turn now to the steering section, which covered things like control effort, road feel, response, drift from center, and the ease of parking the vehicle. You rated the Marquis on an average of 8 out of 10. The Pontiac Bonneville was a 7. The Chrysler E-Class car was a 4. And the Oldsmobile Cutlass was a 7. Let me throw it out and somebody tell me, please, why the front-wheel drive car rated so low on steering?
It faults you. When you accelerate, it kept on, the steering wheel kept on wanting to pull itself back to the center in an irregular manner.
Jose, you were going to jump in with something there.
I was going to comment on the Marquis ride.
Go ahead, Jose.
What I was going to say is when the Marquis first came out and I drove it, I was hit with the impression that it was the same type of difference as when I first got in the Continental with the gas-filled shocks. And it gives me the type of ride of the Continental. The Bonneville seemed not to give me the ride that I expected.
I have to agree with Jose on the ride of the Bonneville. Yeah, I had sway. I think I rated it a 5 on the Bonneville. In the Cutlass, I rated it a 6. I got sway in both of those automobiles, and I don't know whether it's the box design or what caused it, but there seemed to be more play in the corners on those two cars.
With the Marquis suspension, was it a lot, would you describe it as a lot tighter than the Cutlass or the Bonneville? Is that?
Yes, I think it is much tighter.
It seemed like when you hit a bump, it recovered so much quickly. The Marquis did over the competitors, any one of them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think one of the prime comparisons is when Tony and I took out the Cutlass wagon and compared it to the Marquis wagon. The Marquis wagon was much more aerodynamically designed. It gave you a better feel overall. It held the corners. It was more stable in the turns. We came through curve number 6 and 7, and the Marquis held the turn. It accelerated out of the turn. There was no feel, no hint of instability. And with that extended back end on the wagon, you would expect that. I didn't expect the Cutlass Cruiser to take the curve as well as the Marquis, and it didn't disappoint me. We came through the turn, and we were through number 2 turn and heading for the straightaway, and it felt like it was going for a number 3 turn. And it did not compare and didn't hold the road to my satisfaction.
The panel rated the Marquis superior in ride and handling. Here are a few of their candid comments while behind the wheel.
Overall, I think the handling characteristics of this car far and exceed what we had in the other cars.
Steering is very, very smooth. It's responsive. There is very, very little play in the steering wheel. You turn it and you expect the car to turn that direction. There isn't, there basically isn't any play in it.
It's the best handling of anything I've been in today. Steering is extremely responsive. Got rack and pinion. The ride is good. with the gas-filled struts and the steering. To drive this car is to buy it.
At the Road Atlanta test track, it was a day of discovery for a group of Lincoln Mercury salespeople, particularly concerning powertrains. Marquis offers 4 engines, including a propane-fueled engine. Compared to the competition, it's the only car with a 4-speed manual transmission and the only car offering a 4-speed automatic overdrive. Pontiac's Bonneville offers 3 engines, a 6 and 2/8, including a diesel. The Cutlass Supreme offers 4 engines, including 2 diesels. The Chrysler E-Class offers only 2 engines, both 4 cylinders. The biggest discovery for the salespeople was the Marquis 2.3-liter 4-cylinder engine.
I think everybody that drove the 4-cylinder Marquis got a big shock. The engine performance is really, I think, fantastic for what it is.
I was very surprised with the 4-cylinder Marquis that it did respond very well, both up and down hills. The car was, it was just surprising to me that it had that kind of pickup for a 4-cylinder.
Right here in this hill, I notice just don't quite have the power I should have.
It's going to make it. There it goes. There it goes.
I've always driven a 4-cylinder car, and I was extremely impressed with the Marquis and not impressed at all with the Chrysler.
How do you expect that 4-cylinder engine in the Marquis to sell?
I feel once we get out there and demonstrate it on a demo ride, I believe people are going to change their minds with that car. I was pleasantly surprised with the car. It was just much more powerful than I expected.
You're going to have to overcome some resistance to that engine, though, aren't you, from the customers?
Yes, and I think that's where the demo ride is very important.
I think what you have to do is to get the dealers, the manager, whoever orders the cars, to get the 4-cylinder Marquis in. I know when we first saw that it was coming out with a 4-cylinder, they sort of voiced the opinion that they probably wouldn't order any. And if you don't have them in stock, you'll never be able to sell the car. You can't sell it by saying, well, it does run good. I mean, people have to drive the car. Mm-hmm. And if you have them in stock, I believe you'll sell them. Because I was surprised. When I got in the car and drove it, like I said before, if I hadn't known that one of them was a 4-cylinder, I would have still thought it was a 6. It was that good.
How would you rate GM's 3.8 versus the Marquis 3.8?
The Bonneville with the 6-cylinder did not have the pickup that this car has. It was, the engine was very noisy, and you did feel a lot of vibration in the car.
This little 5-liter engine, I don't believe, has any more power than the 3.8.
This 3.8-liter V6 has surprising acceleration. Now, with the downsizing of the engines, it's not quite as powerful as a 302 V8, but you shouldn't expect it to be.
EPA mileage ratings for the V6s are very close, with Marquis having the edge in highway mileage for the 49 states. In fact, Marquis with the V6 and automatic overdrive had the same mileage as Chrysler E-Class with their 2.2-liter 4-cylinder with automatic. But it was the performance of Marquis' 2.3-liter 4-cylinder engine that most surprised the panel. Most of the salespeople also felt that Marquis' 3.8-liter V6 was more responsive than Bonneville and Cutlass Supreme equipped with their V6s, and that the Marquis V6 was surprisingly close to the Cutlass 5-liter V8. It was the feeling of the panel that Marquis had the competitive edge under the hood. Value for the dollar was on the minds of a group of Lincoln Mercury salespeople as they evaluate Marquis, Cutlass Supreme, Bonneville, and Chrysler E-Class. They began with comfort and convenience.
You know, there's one thing I noticed in this car, the Chrysler, that it has the bench seat, and I'm sitting here with my knees buried in the dashboard. It's very uncomfortable.
I feel great over here. I'm not having any problem.
You're a little shorter than I am, that's why.
I am amazed that for $12,300 that we would be driving in a car that has a bench seat.
You can liken the seats to a glove. They seem to fit each individual. No matter who you take for a ride in this car, they get in the seat and they compliment about how comfortable it is. And then when you go through and show them the reclining backrest and the multi-position, then they're even more impressed with it. It's hard for anyone not to be comfortable in this automobile.
The dimmer and the cruise and the wipers are all on one knob. And you can go to hit the cruise and you end up hitting the wipers. It's rather confusing the way that it's set up all on one knob.
Everything is easy to touch, it's easy to reach. Cruise control being on the steering wheel itself, on the face of the wheel, and all the stock mounted controls within a fingertip of the wheel, so you don't have to stray too far from the steering wheel to do anything in the vehicle.
Okay, let's take a look at some price relationships. We've heard a lot about sticker shock. Everybody's living with it. What kind of relationships are we talking about here? Vicki?
I was very surprised to find that our base price on the base car, as well as the Brougham, was cheaper than all the other models. Then when we took each car and priced it out comparably equipped, I was amazed again that we were again cheaper than the other cars. And on top of that, we've got more standard equipment, which really threw me off. I was glad I wasn't driving when I looked at the price of the Chrysler.
When you consider that Marquis, I've had customers say, well, Chrysler has a 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty. What is the Marquis? Looking at a comparably equipped automobile, you can sell them a Marquis Brougham that's going to have more available features. With a special value package, you can probably even throw an additional 5 or 6 items on there and sell them an extended service policy and still give them a better long-term investment in their automobile.
It's very, very simple, I think, now, trying to sell our car against the rest of these cars because of the price advantage. I've been selling cars for a lot of years, and I can never remember ever having the price advantage we have now on these cars. Not only is the level of equipment a lot higher than competition, but boy, you can just outgun them day and night in price. There's just no comparison.
Let's put this in some kind of perspective here. What you've got between the base Marquis Brougham, or not a base, but a Marquis Brougham and a Cutlass Supreme, you've got a price difference of $1,517 in favor of the Marquis Brougham. When you comparably equip the vehicles, you're going to wind up with a price difference between the two cars of $1,000, $1,044. Part of that is probably the engine, because the 3.8 is standard in the Cutlass and not in the Marquis, right? So we're talking about $1,000 worth of difference. You're looking at an image here that the Cutlass has. I mean, it's earned quite an enviable reputation over the past few years. Is this kind of stuff plus the 1,000 or 15